Hi everyone, and welcome to part 5 of the series of audio tutorials on Eurofly 3. In the previous two parts, we learned a lot about the map exploration mode. First, we learned how to read information about the current location on the map and about what's around us. And then we learned how to actually move along the map. But in this next one, in part 5, I'm still going to talk some more about world map exploration for a little while longer, and I'll teach you even more of the more advanced additional features and functionalities of the map exploration mode, and that's going to conclude the group of 3 tutorials that focus on this mode. Well, first of all, this is not related exclusively to map exploration, but it can actually be used anywhere else in the program, even during flight, where it's probably going to be even more useful. But let's cover it here anyway. This is as good a spot as any to cover it. What I have in mind is the help mode, which is a new feature in Eurofly 3, because we've covered tons of various keystrokes in the last 2 parts, and it's not even humanly possible to remember them all, off the top of your head. So, should we ever forget which keystroke does what, or should we ever want to look one of them up? We can do that by turning on help mode, which is done with the keystroke Alt-H. So this is actually the single most important one that I believe you should remember at all times. So I'm still in map exploration, so let me just press Alt-H at this point.
Help mode on. Tree view.
It said help mode on, and we are immediately in a tree view, which, if we browse it with the arrow keys,
map 136 collapsed. Other 1 collapsed.
We hear the branches of the tree. Both of them are now collapsed. And this mode, this help feature, always works contextually. So if we were currently controlling our airplane while in flight or while taxiing along the airport, we would be seeing other keystrokes here.
Map 136
So we
collapsed.
can hear that there's actually 136 keystrokes related to the map exploration. If we now open this or expand this branch with the right arrow,
expanded,
we can browse through all the keystrokes that are in here.
Backspace, set step size. Number pad enter. In a list or tree view of objects, jump to the coordinates of the given object / in the list of sound schemes, activate the scheme. Space, make a step in the direction of the view / in a list or tree view of objects or in a list of search results, set the object as the destination for navigation. Left arrow, make a step to the west, or to the left.
And so on. Like it said, there's 136 of them.
Map, 1, backspace, set, collapsed, other, 1, collapsed.
In the other branch, there's just 1 keystroke at the moment.
Alt+H, activate / deactivate help mode.
And that is the very one that I'm just talking about, Alt-H, to activate or deactivate the help mode. But this window is split into several parts, and this is just the first one of them. So if I now press Tab,
search edit blank.
We are in a search box, and here we can actually look up what a particular keystroke does based on its description or based on what we think it should do. So we could actually type a word or a string of letters here, and it will look up all the keystrokes that match that description. So for instance, let me type view. And if I now press Tab,
results combo box number pad enter. In a list or tree view of objects, jump to the coordinates of the given object / in the list of sound schemes, activate the scheme collapsed.
We are now in the list of results, which contains all the keystrokes whose function contains the word direction.
Blank. Results combo box space, make a step in the direction of the view / in a list or tree view of objects or in a J, report the closest country in the direction of the view. M, report the closest country in the opposite direction to the view. N, read the navigation report about the direction.
And so on and so on. So this is one possible way to narrow the overwhelming number of keystrokes down. Another possible way is if we press Tab once more.
Edit read only less not set greater.
And this next edit field is where we can actually get to know what a particular keystroke does just by pressing it. So if I now press backspace,
set step size.
Shift backspace,
set step size, moving backwards.
Let's say I press U. What is it that U does?
Report the closest country to the left of the view.
What is it that Shift U does?
While flying over land, report cities to the left. While flying over water, report land masses to the left.
What is it that Control U does?
Report countries in a semicircle from in front to the left.
What is it that D key does?
Turn the view 1 degree to the right.
And what does S do?
Report the direction of the view.
So this is a third way to find out what a particular key does.
Sound overview combo box new country collapsed.
The next part of the window, the next press of the tab key, is actually a sounds overview. Because again, we have several different sounds related to the map. And again, if we were currently controlling the airplane, this would also include, because some of the keystrokes and sounds are the same in map exploration as well as when controlling the airplane, but some are different. So you get different contents, different results, different keystrokes and sounds depending on what you are currently doing in the program. Now, as we're in map exploration mode, we only get keystrokes and sounds that are related to this mode.
Capital city. Sea level indication. New province or country within group.
And so on.
New country.
We can press the spacebar on either one of these sounds to play it back so that we hear what it actually sounds like. So this is quite a nice gallery of all the available sounds. So this is what plays when entering a new country.
Capital city.
And this is what plays when near a capital city.
Sea level indication.
This is the sound for the height above sea level indication. And this is a long continuous tone, so we can actually press spacebar another time to stop it.
New province or country within group.
New province or country within group.
New meridian or parallel.
New meridian or parallel.
Navigation. Important location. Selection.
So these are all the sounds that can play while in world map exploration. And finally, last part of the window when I press tab.
Edit select map exploring mode F1, Shift plus F1.
Is a little bit of a small guide or a kind of a tips and tricks section that tells us briefly what are all the possible things or actions that we can take in a particular
Select map
mode.
exploring mode F1, Shift plus F1. In mouse mode, move along the map using the mouse. In other modes, move along the map using the arrow keys. Set the step size for a single arrow key, press backspace, Shift plus backspace. Try out the auditory indication of capital cities, interesting points, or the height above sea level Alt plus C, Alt plus B, Alt plus semicolon.
And so on. So
Tree view, Alt plus H, active.
this covers all the features of the help mode. You see that when I now pressed tab another time, I'm back on the tree view of all the keystrokes. So that's it for the help mode. Let me close it with escape.
Eurofly 3 window.
And we're back in the map exploration phase itself. So this is one of the interesting additional features that is available anywhere at any time, and it's definitely good to know about it. Another useful feature is building a list of your own favorite locations. So if we are located at a place that we would like to remember and to be able to come back to quickly for any reason, we can press the letter B on it.
No valid level selected.
And it told us that we haven't selected any valid level. And this is really important to know because, as you already know, the location information that we can retrieve at any time consists of 7 different levels that are read with the keys 1 through 7 on the numbers row.
Europe. Slovakia. Bratislavski Kraj. Bratislava 1. Bratislava. Stare Mesto. Blank.
So, if we just press the B key at any time, the program doesn't know and it cannot tell which exact part of the location information we are interested in. Whether we want to add this particular location to our favorites as the old town part of the city or as Bratislava itself.
Bratislava 1. Bratislava.
Or whether we're interested in the fact that we are currently located in Slovakia, etc., etc. Selecting the level can also be important in different situations at different places in the program, which we'll also demonstrate when we get to them. But in this case, in order to be able to add a place to our favorites, we have to select one of the levels first, so that the program knows what to add as our favorite. And we do that with the keys Shift plus the respective level number. So we know that the Old Town part,
Stair Mesto.
the Old Town neighborhood of the town, is currently under level 6. So we select it by pressing Shift 6.
Stair Mesto selected.
And it says, well, Stare Mesto, Old Town selected. So when I have the corresponding level selected, I can press B to add it to my favorites.
Stair Mesto added.
And it says, you know, Old Town added. For example, if I
Slovakia.
were to select the level 2 with Shift 2,
Slovakia selected.
and now I were to press B, it would add the very same point, the very same location to my favorites, but this time under the name Slovakia. So you might find yourself in Vietnam, for example, and you would like to add that as a favorite point, but you don't care about the name of the particular village that you're currently exploring. Rather, you would like to just add the whole country of Vietnam as a quick way to get back to it at any point in time, using the list of your favorites that is accessible with the F9 key, and then pressing enter on the respective place to jump there. So that's why and how you specify by choosing the corresponding level how you want to add the location into your favorites. So if I press F9 now,
Tree view. Europe 1 collapsed.
we see our favorites in a tree view, and there's just one branch currently collapsed containing just one favorite point in Europe. So if we expand it,
Expanded. Slovakia 1 collapsed.
there's one favorite point under Slovakia.
Expanded. Stair Mesto 0 kilometers.
And there's the Old Town part of Bratislava, which is currently 0 kilometers away.
Eurofly 3 window.
I pressed enter on it. Well, let me jump somewhere else.
Mikulsis.
Okay, I'm in the Czech Republic.
Tree view. Expanded. Stair Mesto
Stair
Eurofly
Mesto.
3 window.
And we're back in the Old Town part of Bratislava. The same thing that I was talking about in the last part for all the other function keys is true even here. So F9 on its own would display the alphabetically sorted tree view of all the favorites. Control would display them sorted by distance from the closest one to the farthest one, etc., etc. By the way,
Tree. Stair Mesto.
should we ever want to remove any point from our favorites, we can just focus it and press delete on it.
Removed. Eurofly 3 window.
It's removed, and now our favorites are empty. I press F9 and nothing happens. We're not told anything, so that's our cue that we don't actually have any favorites saved at this point. So this is how we can build a list of our favorite locations. Another interesting feature is the ability to quickly look up any location on the map with Google. So without having to manually, tediously type the name of the respective location that we're interested in with the possibility of making a spelling mistake, we can just select one of the levels again, as we did before. So
Bratislava.
if I select the name of the capital, Bratislava, which is currently at level 5 with Shift 5,
Bratislava selected.
and now I press Alt-G for Google,
Frame busy. Bratislava. Pleated Google Mozilla Firefox.
what happens is that our default web browser opens automatically with the search results for the term Bratislava on Google already displayed.
Eurofly 3.
So we can read everything that Google has found for us about Bratislava. Another interesting feature is to have all the information about our location copied into the clipboard in a single string. So we can actually read the whole location information at once by pressing the Q key.
Europe Slovakia Bratislavski Kraj Bratislava 1 Bratislava Stair Mesto.
So we're currently in Bratislava and it reads all the 6 relevant levels at once. And if we now to have this whole information copied into the clipboard, we press Ctrl Q,
Europe Slovakia Bratislavski Kraj Bratislava 1 Bratislava Stair Mesto.
and it's now been copied to our clipboard, so we can now easily just paste this anywhere should we ever want to. Another interesting thing is the ability to actually read the current real-life, real-world weather at that place at the moment. We do that with the W key,
Scattered clouds, temperature 5, pressure 1013, humidity 80, east wind 2 m per second.
And we got all the data which is available for Bratislava at the time. This is only going to work if you have the API key for the weather data web provider service set correctly, as we were talking about in part 2, where I was describing all the various settings of the program. If you didn't have the API key set, this would just say unavailable when pressing W. We can also find the circumference of the Earth at the given latitude and longitude. This is done with Shift Y and Control Y. Shift Y tells us the circumference of the Earth only for the current hemisphere that we're currently on.
9,339 kilometers.
And Control Y tells us the circumference of the whole Earth at the given latitude.
18,679 kilometers.
So this means that if we wanted to travel around the whole Earth, we are currently located in
Bratislava.
It would be something over 18,000 kilometers. But if we just wanted to travel around the hemisphere, it would be only slightly over 9,000 kilometers. But well, if I now move by
1,000 kilometers,
1,000 kilometers to the north,
Baltic Sea.
we're in the Baltic Sea, and now it would be only
7,340 kilometers.
7,340 kilometers to travel around the hemisphere, and
14,680 kilometers.
Over 14,600 to travel around the entire Earth. And let's move even higher up, north.
Vastralaisval. Norwegian Sea.
Now in the Norwegian Sea, it would only be 3,300 for the hemisphere and 6,667 for the entire Earth. And in this way, we can beautifully see how the Earth is actually getting kind of narrower the higher up we are to form its actual shape. Let me get back to where we were.
Baltic Spearmisto.
Okay, we're here. The next feature is the ability to actually rename a particular location to whatever we like. So if we feel that something is not called right on the map, or like in this case,
Bratislavský kříž,
it's not actually in English, there are two ways to do it. If we want to rename something that is accessible through one of the lists that we can bring up with the keys F5 to F11, then we can just press one of these keys. So let's say that I wanted to rename Bratislava to something more understandable, perhaps. I'll do that by pressing Ctrl F7. That's the fastest way.
Combo box Slovakia Bratislava, 0 kilometers, collapsed.
And when the object that I'm interested in is focused, I can just press F2 on it.
Insert new name for
In the
Bratislava
list.
dialog. Edit blank.
And now we got an edit field that's asking us to insert a new name for Bratislava. So,
Blank.
for example, I can do...
The capital of Slovakia.
I now press enter.
Combo box Slovakia, the capital of Slovakia, 0 kilometers, collapsed.
And we can see that it's been updated in the list. Now, if we want to rename something using the levels of the location information, let's just select the level that we're interested in again.
Bratislavský kříž selected.
So level 3 is Bratislava region. Now, if we press Ctrl Shift R,
Insert new name for Bratislavský kříž dialog. Edit blank.
we can type in
Bratislava region.
and press enter.
Eurofly 3 window.
And now the key number 3 will tell us,
Bratislava region.
so
Europe. Slovakia. Bratislava region. Bratislava 1. Bratislava. Stair Mesto.
and let's also rename level 6.
Stair Mesto select. Insert new name for Stair Mesto. Old Town. Eurofly 3 window.
Now if I take a step back to the south,
Ponticelli.
Italy.
we're in Italy now, but I'm just doing it in order for the screen reader to update. And if I now take the step back to the north,
Old Town.
we are now in
Old
Old
Town.
Town,
Bratislava.
Bratislava, in the
Bratislava region.
Bratislava region. So this is a way to fix incorrect names for the locations if you come across them. Now, these translations are never updated in the program itself or on the server, but they are always stored only in your user's data folder, as I was describing it in part 2, where I was talking about the settings dialog. So any translations you save in here will only be updated for you, whereas other users will still see the original names as they were by default in their program. And finally, let's talk about the background music and the possible ways to change it, to customize it. Eurofly offers a very powerful tool for this, which is called the Sound Scheme Editor, because you can have multiple custom music tracks of your own, and you can change what music is supposed to play in Europe or what music is supposed to play in a particular country, or you can even drill down to the level of individual cities. And that's why it's called a sound scheme. You can have multiple of these schemes created and saved. So you can have one scheme where a certain track plays for Europe and another scheme where a different track plays for the same continent. And you can switch between them at any time while exploring the map or while controlling your airplane. I'm not going to be talking about how to create new schemes at this time, because that tool is really very complex and very powerful and it would take very long. But I'm going to show you how to make quick adjustments, quick modifications to the schemes and how to switch between them. This is done using two different dialog windows, which we bring up with the keystrokes Alt-Z and Alt-X. The difference is that Alt-Z lets us choose an entire scheme to switch to, whereas Alt-X is where we can make slight modifications to the scheme that's currently active. So let's cover the Alt-Z dialog first. When I press it,
Sound Schemes combo box default music only collapsed.
we see that the focus is immediately placed in the combo box where all the schemes that I have available can be seen. And I'm currently placed on the scheme called default music only. That's because it only consists of music files. As I said before, you can have as many different schemes as you like, but only 2 of them are supplied with the program by default, because a scheme can consist of music tracks in the MP3 format or any other audio format, or of radio stations. And by default, the supplied schemes are this one, the default music only one, and one with radio stations for the different countries. If I now press Shift-Tab,
Now playing scheme edit default music only /0 default.og.
we are told in this edit field which scheme, default music only, and which file is currently playing, which is 0-default.ogg. So I could choose a different scheme here,
Sound Schemes combo.
but let's press Tab one more time,
Sound Files combo box 0 default.og collapsed.
and we can see a list of all the files in the scheme here. These are the files stored in the computer, and a scheme can contain files stored in 2 possible locations, either in the audio/countries subfolder in the main program directory, or in your user's data folder, where there's also a countries subfolder. That's done because Eurofly's philosophy is such that you don't need to modify any files in the main program folder, because you could then reinstall it, or you could delete your whole Eurofly directory, or the launcher could re-download and overwrite your custom files when downloading an update, etc. So you could be building your own music library, an extensive one at that, if you wanted to. And in this way, if you put all your custom music into the countries folder in your user's data, you'll make sure that it's never going to be overridden or deleted. So the countries folder in the main program folder always contains what is supplied by the developers in the default schemes, and the countries folder in your user's data folder always contains your custom music, anything that you may have added yourself. Now that I'm currently in the list of files for that scheme, I've put
Zero Ocean
here
a blues just for you .mp3.
a practice MP3, and if I now press enter to select it,
Eurofly 3 window.
it'll start playing this music instead of the default one. The difference between a scheme and between just selecting a music file is that it's only in the schemes where we can define different musics, different tracks to be switched automatically as we browse between different countries, where if we only select a specific file to be played, it'll still keep playing even if we move between countries. So let me...
Червений Gustav Banyatelip.
Hungary.
Let me move to Hungary, for instance. And you'll see that even though we crossed country borders, it's still playing the same music.
Liptovska Porka. Valenka Holler. Zalas. Kalipnik. Druli. Bluesy. Stara Paslika. Baltic Sea.
Let me
Blank. Baltic Sea.
get to the Baltic Sea, and you can hear that even though we are currently at sea, it's still playing the same one. Let me get back to...
Star Bluesy. Drew. Zalas. Valenka Holler. Liptovska Porka. Gustav Banyatelip. Suxdulo. Gustav Червений Old Town.
to Bratislava, where we were before. And let's get back into the sound schemes dialog again.
Sound schemes combo box. Sound files combo.
And press tab.
Stations in country Slovakia.
One more
161. Combo box best FM collapsed.
And here we can choose between the different radios to play. You can see that we are now focused on the item stations in country Slovakia, and that it's another preview, and that there's 161 of them.
Fun Radio. BBFM Radio. Best FM. Best FM. Bratislavsk Radio. Ditsk Radio.
Since there's a lot of them,
Filter edit blank.
there's the filter on the next tab press, so we can use this to narrow the list down.
Stations in country Slovakia, 161. Combo box Fun Radio collapsed. Fun Radio. Fun Radio. Fun Radio.
And since I typed fun into the filter, there's just one of them now. So if I press enter on it,
Eurofly 3 window.
it's going to play the fun radio in Slovakia. But if I would like to play a different radio station than one for the country where I'm currently located in,
Sound files. Stations in countries. Filter edit.
I can tab past the filter
Set station name edit blank.
and I can type the station name in here, even though it's in any country. So let me type BBC
BBC.
and let me press enter.
Search results for BBC combo box BBC Radio 5 live proper collapsed. 107.3 BBC Radio Uganda. BBC Radio 5 107.3 BBC Radio Uganda. BBC 80s. BBC Africa UG.
And we can see that there's a whole lot of them.
BBC Africa Radio. BBC Arabic Radio. BBC for Australasia. BBC Nepali. BBC Nepali 100 and BBC News. BBC News TV. BBC News.
So let me choose BBC News, for example, with enter.
Eurofly 3 window.
And we should be hearing the radio now. But if it happens to you, like it did to me just now, that a radio doesn't play, it's not a fault of Eurofly or it's not a bug in Eurofly. It could just be that the particular stream, the given stream, the address, the URL for that radio station is currently inactive, or it's outdated, it's faulty, etc. Another difference between creating a new scheme and just quickly selecting a music file or a radio station to play is that when I quit the program, that change will not be remembered. World
Eurofly
Map
3 Lucas
Exploration.
Hosnadal window. Eurofly 3 window.
I just quickly quit back to the menu and entered map exploration again. We are
Slovakia.
again in Slovakia, in Bratislava,
Old Town.
in the Old Town, and you can hear that it's playing the original default music again, because it immediately chose the set scheme again, which is, as we know, the default one. You may actually want to change the music track that is supposed to play for a given country and keep that change. And that is what the Alt-X keystroke is used for. So let me move over, for instance, to the Czech Republic.
Sabalki.
Yeah, we are in
Czech
the
Republic.
Czech Republic. Let's press Alt-X.
Select countries to edit music for combo box. Czech Republic collapsed.
And I got a very similar dialogue, but the difference is that we did not start on the combo box to choose a scheme, but rather on a combo box to select the countries where the given music is supposed to be playing. We heard a kind of a dinging sound, and that's telling us that the Czech Republic, which is the only country in this list box at the moment, is also the selected one, because we could have the same track playing for several different countries. For instance,
Eurofly.
Old Town.
let me get back to Slovakia and press Alt-X again.
Select countries to edit music for combo box. Slovakia collapsed.
We see that we have the same dialogue, and this music plays while we are in Slovakia, but in this case,
South Carolina,
it's also used
South Dakota, South Georgia and South Sandwich Islands, South Korea, Sri Lanka,
for
Switzerland, Tennessee, Texas,
many
Alki
different countries and
United
states.
Kingdom, United States of America, Utah, Vatican, Vermont, Virgin Islands, Wales, Oman, Abu Dhabi, British, Fair, Floor, Georgia, Green, Guernsey, St. Martin, Scotland, Sharjah, Slovakia, South Carolina, Slovakia.
And as we can hear, Slovakia is the selected one. But I want a different music to play only while in Slovakia. So if I now press tab again while focused on Slovakia,
Sound files combo box 0 default.og collapsed.
there's the list of all the sound files that are available for this scheme, including the radio stations and everything same as before. So if I choose a different file here now to play for Slovakia,
A blues just for you.mp3. Eurofly 3 window.
and confirm it, now this music will play every time while we are in Slovakia.
Červený Dvor. Gustav Telep.
You see we've moved to
Hungary.
and the music has changed. But if I get back to Slovakia,
Červený Dvor. Old Town.
it starts playing my favorite blues again. And this is a change that actually got saved in the scheme. So, if I now leave the world map exploration mode,
Eurofly 3 Lucas Hognadal window.
and come back to it,
Eurofly 3 window.
it's still going to play this blues for Slovakia. So this is how we can change the music for the whole country in the scheme. But changing the scheme in this way only respects or only distinguishes between countries. We can, however, also change the music just for a particular region or district or city, and this is the last thing I'm going to be showing you today. Let me change the default music for Slovakia back to the actual default.
Select countries to edit 0 default.og. Eurofly 3 window.
Okay, so in this way I've actually modified or returned and saved the whole scheme back to the original. And if I wanted to change the music only for the specific level, I would have to choose it with the shift number keys again.
Bratislava region.
So if I wanted to change the music only for this region, which is level 3, let me select it with shift 3.
Bratislava region selected.
And now we bring up a different dialogue with Alt M for music.
Select music from the countries 2 folder dialog.
Now it's asking me to select music from the countries 2 folder. Both of these folders, called countries and countries 2, are stored in your user's data folder, but the difference is that the countries folder is used for the actual countries or for editing sound schemes, whereas the countries 2 folder
A blues just for
is used for these smaller modifications of music for the individual levels, or for smaller units than the entire sound scheme. So let's choose the blues for you, because I don't have anything else in here.
Eurofly 3 window.
And now this music is only going to play for this particular region. If I now move along the map,
Červený dvor.
Nitriansky Kridge.
Took a step to the east and I appeared in a different region of Slovakia.
Old Town. Finsterog. Old Town.
Let's change the step.
1 kilometer. 10 1 5 1 kilo 10 kilo 500 1 kilometer.
Let's change the step size to 1 kilometer. I'm moving north.
Karlovy S. Zalesna. Lamak. Marianka. Borinka. Lazarno. Jablanov. Novy Dvor. Malaki. Velka Levere. Sisulakov MLYN. Kritny.
And now I'm finally in a different region.
Ternavsky Kridge.
If I take a step back to the south,
Sisulakov MLYN.
we are back in the Bratislava region. So that's why our blues started playing again, because it's been only assigned to this particular region with the Alt-M dialog, where we choose the music for a specific level. And obviously this is an interesting feature, but it's usually wise to modify the music like this only for larger regions, larger units, because if you set the music to like a very small town or village, you could easily just swoop past it before the music could even start playing. So it's good to know about this feature. It's just probably more practical to use it only for actual like regions or countries or larger units in general. That's it for today. So with this nice blues, I'm concluding part 5 of the tutorial series on Eurofly 3, as well as the group of tutorials on map exploration. And see you next time when you feel ready to move on to something else finally, and to start learning more about how to fly and how to control your airplane rather than how to move along the map in part 6.